Ooh,
It's really nice, isn't it?
that is really nice.
This stuff is so freaking good.
I know.
$300 here, $14 here, $22.
Hey everybody, it's Mac McCormick again with Big Whiskey Rebellion, and we're gonna get right into it. Today we are discussing a bourbon nobody's ever heard of called Pappy Van Winkle. It's just one of those things that nobody actually cared about when I first opened my first whiskey bar back in the early 2000s. We couldn't give this stuff away. But today, everybody chases it, and I don't think you need to. There's some great stuff that you can get that is not Pappy Van Winkle. So I have a panel of my friends here, co-workers, who are going to try some things that I think that we should all recognize as delicious and kind of fun alternatives to this without breaking the bank, and it's available. So are you guys ready to try some cool stuff?
Let's do it.
Well, first, why don't you introduce yourselves?
My name's Brian Hobbs. I'm a bartender here at McCormick's Whiskey Grill.
Right.
I am the new guy on the block. I've been here just over 1 year, but I have been drinking and studying whiskey for about 5.
And by that, you mean the beer bong that you would...
Yes.
Okay. A Baja Blast with Jim Beam.
Ugh, yeah.
My name is Jessica Pick. I am a lifetime Richmonder. I am the one that's not so familiar with the whiskey, so I'm excited to learn and try them all.
I'm Roby Martin. I am the food journalist for CBS 6 on air and the podcast Eat It Virginia, talking about all things food and drink in the state of Virginia.
Roby, you've had Pappy before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have.
You have?
I have.
Where did you have this at?
I had it at Perch with my dad and Beth Dixon, actually.
Brian?
Yes, I've had.
Oh, you're like, oh, of course I've had Pappy. I drink it all the time. Like, so I actually used to drink Van Winkle products constantly. I actually, in a way, it's this product and Middleton Very Rare that got me really into whiskey, because as a guy that opened a bar at 24, was a really good bartender. Actually, I was voted the best bartender in Richmond at the time. And I knew nothing about product. I was just a face, and I gave you what you wanted really fast. And like, it wasn't about anything being a good bartender. It was just about serving quickly. And it's kind of funny because I never get these kind of nods anymore, but I also am not really a bartender anymore. I'm more of a shot pourer. Like I hardly even touch ice. It's so different, crazy how different my job is. But on the 5th anniversary of the pub, I bought a bottle of Middleton's Very Rare. I was walking past this bottle, and it was our 5th anniversary, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna buy that bottle, and my staff and I are gonna have shots of that after the night is over. Which, that was a big deal. It was like a $200 bottle, so I planned on taking shots at $200 a bottle of whiskey. And as soon as I swallowed that, I was like, wow, that was way too good to have drank it the way I just drank it. And it was like a defining moment for me. I just realized for the first time why that bottle was $200, because I had never bought it before. And it was a turning point for me. I recognized quality over quantity, or the value of an expensive bottle. And it led me down this path into building this, the first one of these 15 years ago. The first time I bought a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle, I thought it was very expensive because it was about $130. And the goal for me was to find a bottle that didn't cost $130, that I could drink regularly without wasting $130. Now, if I could go back in time and buy 10,000, 130 of those bottles, I would definitely do it. And I did buy a lot. That's the only reason we have some right now. I just never expected what happened to Van Winkle to happen to Van Winkle. And when our customers come here, we charge way too much for that product, because at this point it's a market-based pricing, kind of like a lobster or something like that. And I always tell our customers not to spend that much money unless it's somebody else's money, like a corporation or whatever, and then we stick it to them and let them pay it. But in the meantime, I want to guide people to available products that are delicious and reasonably priced. So we're gonna try 3 whiskeys, and I'm gonna try these with you. The first one is very unique and different, but absolutely delicious. It's the Barrel Seagrass, and this is something that goes through multiple barrels and creates a finish that is almost dessert-like, which is actually what I liken Pappy Van Winkle to. Now, this has more of a fruit tart finish, whereas Pappy has kind of a creme brulee finish.
Ooh,
It's really nice, isn't it?
that is really nice. I really like that.
It's got a fruitiness to it, and that has everything to do with the barrels that they use. This is a rye finished in rum, Madeira, and apricot brandy barrels.
Definitely get a lot of the apricot.
Yes.
At least right off the bat.
Oh yeah. The first time I tried this, before I tried it, I had kind of a nervousness about it because that was an awful lot going into the production. But once I tried it, I was like, this is a perfect dessert whiskey. And that's the way I think of Pappy, is something that you should have after a really great meal.
What do you think?
Oh, it's got some kick.
It does. Well, it's a rye, so there's a
It's my favorite. I like a rye.
a little spicier. Yes,
This stuff is so freaking good.
I know. Old Forester 1910.
Love it.
One of my favorite bourbons that you can buy off the shelf every day, all the time. Old Forester is the oldest continuously operating distillery in Kentucky. They can do things that other distilleries can't do because they've been around for so long. I think that this one, because people see Old Forester, they just assume it's like the cheaper Old Foresters. Absolutely not.
It's like creamy and desserty,
Yes,
where the seagrass is like bright and fruity.
right. Like you, Brian.
Well, I don't know if
How's
that's a
it
compliment.
All right, so the one that everybody gets excited about. No, it is exciting. Like it is really hard to get this stuff. There was an article in Forbes 8 years ago about the bourbon that billionaires can't buy. It's that difficult to get. And it is a phenomenal bourbon, but I don't know that it's that dramatically better than these other two that we're trying.
I'd still prefer Old Forester. It's my standard
Lots of
go-to.
oak,
Yeah.
which if you like oak is great, but
I love Pappy Van Winkle. I don't love it at $3,200 a bottle market pricing.
How much is that bottle right now?
If you were to go into the secondary market and buy it, it's around $3,000. I mean, it is worth that because there are people willing to pay that, but it's for something that we're going to drink occasionally. That's not doable for most people.
Right.
And to me, having something fantastic like the 1910 alongside of it, I would say it's equally as good. And if you were blind tasting this and you didn't know that was Pappy, I almost think that you might choose the 1910 over the Pappy Van Winkle.
If I was blind tasting it, I would personally think that the seagrass was Pappy because it just tastes more exciting.
And that's why I put this one in there.
Yeah.
It's a really fun whiskey. A lot of people don't know what it is. They're not familiar with this company at all, but it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yes. And so I like all three of these. I don't buy this for myself. It's too expensive. But it's not kind of goofy, but I almost feel like, it's not special enough of a day for me to open it. And you shouldn't think that way about whiskey. And so as iconic and cool as Pappy Van Winkle is at this point, it's almost unattainable and unreachable for most people. So I would rather, as a bartender, show my customers something that's really amazing that they can get. And so at our restaurant, this is hundreds of dollars a shot. This is a $14 shot.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather have you spend $14 and come back.
They're so different. I'm struggling to compare them at all. Yeah, I don't know as I could say which one is better or which one is not. I like all of them, but they're just so wildly separate.
And that's the other reason I kind of picked them. Whiskey doesn't have to be the same thing. These are all fantastic choices at very wildly different price points. But the idea of these other two that I gave you with the 1910 and the Seagrass is to show you ones that I think are great, that are affordable, that have qualities that are equal but different than the Van Winkle.
Yeah.
I mean, I want you to not think of my restaurant as I had a multi-$100 shot of whiskey.
$300 here,
Yeah.
$14 here, 22. I mean, this is a wonderful exercise, Matt, because I don't think that sits $300 above
Totally agree.
the other two.
No, and that's, we literally I always tell my staff to be honest about what's worth. And I think of whiskey like this at this point as, I call it transactional whiskey. So Brian is now the CEO of a giant land management company. Congratulations, Brian. You're a billionaire.
yeah, thank you.
Jessica's your client. Roby's her attorney, because you always bring your attorney to big land deals. Jessica wants to buy a huge tract of land from you, and she's kind of on the edge. So you take her to my restaurant and you spend a couple $100 on a shot of this, and she's like, "Wow, Brian's a cool dude. I know exactly what that's worth." I almost think that this is almost like seeing a Mercedes logo on a car, or a Bentley logo on another kind of car, or the Gucci emblem on a bag.
Yeah.
It's a status symbol at this point. And I don't think they ever intended on being that. It just happened. And they can't, as a company, go back in time and say, we need to produce 100 times the number of barrels because 20 years from now, we're gonna need it. I do think over time, they'll probably ramp up production to where it's almost attainable, but I don't think it'll ever get to be where it's that attainable.
Now, you're not discounting Pappy at all.
No.
You actually...
I think Pappy is fantastic bourbon.
Okay.
I do, and I drank a lot of it when I was younger and I could buy it regularly.
Right.
There was a point in about 2011 or 2012 where I stopped being able to just buy it regularly from my restaurant, and I realized I should start stockpiling, and I did. I put hundreds of bottles aside. That's why we have it still. I stopped drinking it myself when I realized I couldn't buy it from my restaurant anymore because it became something I needed for my business. And so there's so many other products that I can drink myself and enjoy for a lot less money that I stopped drinking it. And for me, it's now just part of what we have at my businesses. It's not that it's not good.
Right.
For me, this pays my rent.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to drink that one.
Yeah.
Because I can't replace it. But
Sad.
how great are these other whiskeys?
Really great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Really great.
The seagrass opens up a lot because now I'm getting a lot more of the rum.
Oh yeah, on the nose particularly.
Yeah. And then from my experience, when you add a couple drops of water, it then opens up even more. And from when I had it before, I got a ton of the sherry influence. It's like drinking 3 whiskeys in one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wild.
But it is absolutely, to me, a dessert whiskey. I want this after dinner, after a big meal, instead of a piece of cheesecake or something along that lines.
That Old Forester smells like banana dessert now. Like bananas Foster.
Wait, it does.
Yeah.
I got that directly. I also got a whole boatload of raisin.
Oh my God, the banana.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's so wild how the scents blossom, as it says.
Now, the nose of Pappy is iconic. It is absolutely just creme brulee. Like that is something that doesn't happen in too many whiskeys. And I have to say that I love it. Do I love it for hundreds of dollars a shot? No. Like I don't. I can't justify that.
Yeah.
But I also have had it. I think
You've
sometimes
had your time with it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think for some people it's a thing that they have to try at least once in their life. And they come and they meet me and I talk them out of it because I don't want them to waste their money. Which it sounds counterproductive as the owner of the restaurant to say don't waste your money and spend hundreds of dollars. But I usually say I'm sure one of your friends will win a bottle in the lottery one day and you'll be able to try it with them.
Yeah.
It'd be much more special that way. But landowner, client, waste your money all day.
Yeah, $1 million deal.
Yeah. If you have to spend a couple $100 to get her to sign that,
Come on, attorney.
the attorney's
Let's
gonna be
go.
like, as long as I get one too,
Not
we're
buying a very
good.
big piece of land for $1 million.
But you guys get to drink it for free.
This is why you're here, my attorney.
I think you can stick with the Forester.